Hey, what's good, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's being safe out there. Just checking in. Got some stuff that I want to talk about. I want to share. For those who's been with me, as always, I always give you praise and thanks for checking in, checking out the videos. I know what all is going on. I know people's been kind of tuning in real heavy. And please, as always, express your comments. If anything you want me to touch on, please let me know. Please subscribe to the channel, YouTube, Rebuilding Community Trust. My site is www.rebuildingcommunitytrust.org. Also, I'm on Anchor and Spotify. Facebook, under Daryl Brooks, Rebuilding Community Trust is the page as well. For those who are new, welcome. This site is definitely for those who are going through difficult times with the police and the reform. So as always, please check out the information, check out all the videos, podcasts, even blogs. I do blogs. So you can check out any information that may help you to pass on. So I'm doing this by request. I had someone ask me a question about the military and far as their involvement in what's going on right now. Got some data facts, some stuff from experience, and some stuff I pulled up. Also, we're going to touch on some topics. I have some steps I kind of came up with for those who get pulled over. I have some different type of steps that you can implement that may help, especially for those like for African Americans, our minorities. These are some of the things that I'm going to implement at some point in time. And I suggest that, you might want to take a look at, research, and find out what works for you as far as these steps. But I'm going to talk about that. And we're just going to talk about different topics, things that people have asked me to talk about, or just something I came up with that may be beneficial. So please just share this stuff as always. Please pass on to someone else to help and to empower. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about the military. All right. So Trump has made it a statement to basically the president stated that he was going to use the military as an overpowering tool for the riots and all this is going on in this country, and it's still going on currently in certain parts of the country. And we have these anarchists. We have people that has a different agenda for the protests, and they're starting a lot of the riots, a lot of destruction. And basically, the African Americans are getting caught in the mix. A lot of whites are getting caught up in the mix. So he's actually giving permission for the military to be involved in the National Guard. So with that being said, the military isn't designed for police law enforcement. Although trained very similarly, although, you have military police, although you have some of the very similar tactics as far as takedowns and being able to know how to detain and know how to arrest and stuff like that. I've had this training as well while I was in the Navy and still in the Navy. And I've been to schools where I've been trained how to clear rooms, how to take down, how to use sim rounds and tactic rounds, how to move tactically or whatever the case may be. Did law enforcement, as I stated before. So the military is trained for combat. That mentality where you're serving in other countries, foreign policy, where you actually at war, you're dealing with different rules. You're operating under the rules of engagements. You're operating under the Geneva Convention rules and laws and code of conduct, and you're also operating under UCMJ. This is different. It's different from domestic law enforcement. Law enforcement are dealing with the public. We're dealing with different set of rules. So I know I saw some posts where a lot of the different commanders and troops are kind of more a support role instead of a enforcement role. Trying to give law enforcement assist. You got to think about it. These guys they're dealing with law enforcement. We're dealing with stuff overseas. We're trained to fight overseas. We're dealing with different policies and political agendas. Than just to come here and enforce laws. They're not designed to force laws. They're here to assist. If told to do so, they can step in, but it's not going to help the situation because they're not trained for that. They're not dealing with the day in and day out stuff that law enforcement officers deal with. It's a whole different dynamic than just coming in and just taking over police powers as a whole and going in and trying to force laws that they're not aware of. You know what I'm saying? They're not aware of the laws of each individual city that they're in. Unless they were cops. Because National Guard is, they also do civilian work, so they could be civilian cops. Like when I was reservist, I was a cop and a military reservist, and in the military. So unless you're actually working as a police officer before you've been recalled to National Guard, you're not going to really understand a lot of the laws of the land unless you just study on your own. So when you get in a position where you have to try to enforce over the police, you're stripping that power away. And, it's a different ball game, man. It's a different ball game. I agree for like helping assist to keep law and order. I do agree with that. But to take over the police, they're not trained for it. You know what I'm saying? They're trained for something else. To make this such a big deal to where pretty much stripping the governors of their power. And we talked about this before. If you want to know about how the legislative branch, the judicial branch, you want to know how these things work, where you have federal over state. I talked about it in an audio podcast on Spotify. We had a discussion on how, especially it was related to the coronavirus, but how, certain federal legislators can't trump state. And then there's some cases where the Trump, especially when it comes to the military, President Trump can trump the governors and say, hey, if you're not going to do what you're told, you're not going to protect citizens, I'm going to trump you and go ahead and send those guards in. So in certain parts of the legislative branch, with the powers of the president, he's the commander in chief of the military. He can make that decision. So we got to understand how state government works from federal government. Apologize. I had a phone call pull up. You got to understand the two differences. So when you're thinking about the military, you got to understand the roles and what the military does. Now, martial law, enforcing curfews, assistance. They're trained. They have the gear. They have the equipment to use the different weapons. They're trained so they can assist the police with keeping law and order. So as a temporary thing, yes, I agree. We should support the police, and especially if they're getting it's getting out of hand and they're falling short, then the National Guard can come in and assist. But to actually trump the police department, it's going to be kind of hard to do, especially if they don't know what's going on. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but knowing much as I know a little bit about the military and working with other branches, working in different commands where there's Army, there's Marines, I kind of got familiar with the policies, kind of got familiar with how things work as far as their the way they do things with the military foreign policy, dealing with the actual administrative procedures and the things that the military does. It's not going to be suitable for them to trump law enforcement. Law enforcement, they're trained, they do it. It needs reform. It needs reform, but they're dealing with domestic stuff like policing day to day, in and out, dealing with the laws of the land, dealing with the citizens of the U.S. It's kind of their turf. Do I agree? To answer the question, do I agree that the military should intervene? Yes, just for law and order purposes and keeping anarchists and keeping things down. But it really goes to show that police need reform. They need to be trained. They need to be all the police departments should have some type of refresher training or some type of revision of their administrative policies. And I said this before, that's where it starts. The training curriculums, administrative policies, the way that the police department is ran according to the state, and the way that they're certified and legalized through the government, federal government, through federal law enforcement. There's trainers, just like the military. They do the same thing. In order to certify and legalize training, or the way procedures are done in the military, you have to go through a training process. You have to be certified. Ships, squadrons, battalions, all branches go through this process. In order for a warfighting ship to be qualified, they will have to go through a training process. And they have to be certified and say, check off the block that they are ready to fight, ready to be a warfighting command or a ship or battalion. So the police it should be no different with the police. They need to do the same. They need to be an annual. I'm sure I'm not saying it's not, but it should be training put in place for these officers to really understand what's going on as far as up-to-date training tactics, getting familiar with changing the communities, expressing concerns, doing things to bridge that gap for the community and to police departments to be able to do their jobs effectively and be able to stop stuff like this from happening again. The interesting thing I saw this morning is Republicans and Democrats, they're looking into a bipartisan bill or amendment for those. It was started back with, I think, President Bush, and then Barack Obama's tried to do something about it. And now Trump reinstated this bill to where they're going to militarize the police, giving them access to more upgrade weapons, giving them riot gear. And now Congress and the House or the Senate, I don't know if they divided on the issue, but I just got a little information. But they're trying to find a way to either put amendment to stop it or temporarily stop it or get rid of it altogether. Positive and negatives with that. With this, the culture and the state of the police departments around the world, around the nation right now, overall, I agree that they need to put something in place right now. They need to put something in place right now to prevent legalization of weapons and riot gear until there's training done, until there's a measurement of capability and trust that if they get this riot gear, they get these grenade launchers, they get these extra military grade weapons, that they're not going to turn and use it on the public. The trust is so broken that it's not wise right now to hand this stuff over to the police until the culture has changed, until training is conducted, until people are held accountable, until administrative policies have changed. So whoever gets hands on these weapons, they won't be out there using them in the correct way. The culture is too bad right now for police to have that. So I agree right now they don't need it. But however, the second caveat is, as I said before, that and this, I know people don't want to hear this, but we got to look at everything, the bigger picture. All right, you got to look at the bigger picture because end of the day, there's going to be crime. There's going to be criminals. There's going to be some criminals that legitimately need police. People going to need police. Despite of the culture and how much people hate police right now, if you really to take away police and their powers, this world will go in chaos. The United States will go in chaos. Anything, it would be the purge for real. It'll be people acting at their own accord. It'll be lawlessness and chaos. So police are needed. Despite of what's going on, police are needed. So if you strip those powers away and you limit their abilities to perform, the true criminals, those who really are anarchists and really are doing major crimes and murders and all this stuff is going to crime rate's going to go up. So in a way, I do agree with having more protection for the police at some point so they can be effective to do their jobs. So they target the real criminals, the real issues that are out here, because they are out here. Despite of, we got some bad apples, we got stuff going on. They are out here, and there's people out here they're terrorists. They commit murders, crimes, serial killers, all types of different criminals out here, pedophiles, you name it, rapists, drug trafficking rings, human trafficking rings. There's all types of criminal activity out here, and you need law enforcement. You can't just strip, you can't just strip the law enforcement completely of all their abilities to do what they need to do. So at some point, once the administration policies have been addressed, these issues have been addressed, they've been monitored, and people can see from the federal government on down, they're ready to have this type of stuff, and they're ready to do what's right, and they're held accountable. So if they get this stuff that say they use it wrong, they shoot a grenade launcher at a bunch of protesters, or they go out here and they use these military grade weapons to take out civilians innocently, or even if they're not innocent, they do it in the wrong context. We have to ensure that they're going to be held accountable for using these weapons. And right now, this isn't the place or the time for them to do it. I just with all this killing with the police and all this stuff, even currently, even still after George Floyd, there's still more people getting thrown to the ground. There's more people just getting knees on their neck. There's more people that are getting harassed. And it's going both ways. There's police getting ran over too. There's one officer got shot and killed. It's just back. It's tick for tack. That's why the National Guard is here to assist. So with that bipartisan bill, however it goes in Congress level, whether they scrap it or whether they limit it, and I think it shouldn't be limited. I don't think it should be scrapped. It should be limited until they're proven that police officers are trained. They know the policies and procedures. There's reform. There's stuff put in place. So if a person ever get out of pocket and they start using these military grade weapons against civilians for no apparent reason, and ain't no reason at all, just like the situation with George Floyd, that they're held to a higher, they're held accountable. No crap, held accountable. Not no if and ands and buts about it. So in that fact, I think that's my take on it, because we got to look at the bigger picture. So that's issues. That's the questions. That's the answers I have for the military. Again, we just got to, look at the roles of what the military does and how they stand in these issues. Because there's some of the Army, National Guards, they may feel the same way that we feel about African Americans feel about standing together. You know what I'm saying? So it may not be beneficial until they are trained or they operate, you know what I'm saying, as police officers and do that stuff day in and day out, which some do in the military. There's MPs, there's military police all throughout each branch. So they may have a familiarity of it, but as a whole, as a military as a whole, they're not trained to handle domestic police issues. Interesting thing, I saw a video, Seattle police. It was a riot, breaking into a store. Police was there, pulled the guy out. Y'all probably seen this video. Guy put his knees on his neck. Again, that's why I'm saying this is why training is needed throughout each police jurisdiction around the U.S. But this time, I mean, and it's, I won't say it's coincidental that it was a white guy that got put on the ground, but he put his knees on his neck, and they were saying get the knees off the neck, and you see the colleague remove his knee off his neck. Imagine that. Imagine if that happened in the first place. So I know that officers, they see this stuff. And that was a big testament. I think I posted on my page if y'all want to see the video, but imagine that happened the first time. You literally see the colleague take his knee off his neck and move his knee off his neck. Why can that didn't happen before? And again, I don't want to say it's coincidence, but the guy was white that was on the ground, that the knee was on his neck, and the guy removed his knee off his neck. So that's something to think about. Something to think about. I mean, I don't know if it's because of what happened and they're very cautious about what they're doing. But as I said before, police officers are going to get tired of getting the blame nationwide, and they're going to start taking accountability. It's going to come from the inside out. It ain't going to work from the outside in. It's going to come from the inside out. It's going to start with the officers that work together every day to hold each other accountable. If you see it, stop it. That could have prevented the whole George Floyd situation from ever coming about. If those officers that were there to say, hey, take the knee off the neck. It don't matter if you're 19 years, 10 years. If he'd have did what that Seattle police officer did, George Floyd would be alive. It's simple as just grabbing the knee and pulling it off his neck. Roll him over to the side and get him up on the ground. But the fact that they stood by and watched, that's what happens. So if y'all want to check the video out, I think I posted on my page, on the actual Darryl Brooks page of my Facebook page. If you want to check out the video, you might already seen it. Just Google Seattle police taking his knee off his neck. It'll pull up, but it's just a video shows you that it can be done. Statistics. I kind of put up some stats. I had a little difficulty putting up some stats, but it's from theguardian.com. I don't know if that's a credible source to look at, but 1,093 people killed by the police. I was doing a comparison to see how many related accidental or intentional deaths the military brought. I know it's 2 off top. It was a Navy SEAL that shot an insurgent, an innocent civilian, and stood next to his body, took a picture. And it's public knowledge, so people know about it. And there was a couple of other people where Marines killed innocent people. Kind of the same thing overseas, and it held to the UCMJ. So there were certain things they were held court-martial. And it's that I don't know the numbers. You can maybe Google it for yourself and see, or look it up. The numbers of how many military personnel either potentially killed someone, a civilian overseas in combat or not, versus the domestic violence killings here by the law enforcement. So I'm assuming the numbers are a lot higher with the police killings, but again, y'all can look up the stats for yourselves on that one. Notice too, man, it's a lot of this is a very negative topic, right? So had a friend, I was discussing some stuff with him, and he just said he can't take the negativity. It's affecting his health. So I honestly, some of this right here I'm going to say is going to be on a positive note. I know people don't want to hear it, and that's fine. I'm going to say it anyway because we need to spread love. I was talking with a coworker, and we was talking about how much love is need to be spread. Love, it takes courage to love, number one. So much hate. I've seen videos of African American men taking that step to hug the police and shake their hand and say, hey, thank you for what you do. Protecting the police, against the rioters and looters and the protesters, and people lashed on them because of it. It takes courage to love these days. Jesus Christ, he loved people. He was bold and he stood for the truth. He didn't get fazed by the hate and the negativity that the world brought during his time. Deputy Brian Woodard, he spreads love. Can't fight hate with hate. And I believe in Christ, and I believe in Christianity, and I believe in the power of love. So there are police officers out here that took a stand, that took a knee. I know Atlanta PD. I know a lot of Atlanta police officers done it. In Flint, Michigan, the sheriff, he put his stuff down. He told officers, hey, we're here. We want to turn this into a parade. There are officers that truly want, whether it's I don't know if it's a political stunt or not, but there's officers that do care. So on a positive note, salute to the officers that are trying to make a difference on the positive way, despite of the backlash, despite of the hate, despite of all that's been going on. Salute to these officers that are actually taking a knee. They're actually paying their respects. They actually are trying to stop the looters, the ones that's actually damaging the property and breaking in and doing stuff that's illegal. And those who actually care, hugging the protesters, talking with the protesters, standing with the protesters. I have yet to see so many I ain't never seen so many white people stand with us now. I've seen a lot of videos, a lot of people, whites are praying. My coworker's white, and he wants to take a stand. He wants to go out here and do something different. We got a project we're working on that we're going to try to spread some love, and we're going to try to impact people's lives on a greater scale through using this as not a hate teaching tool, because racism is taught. Racism is a taught behavior. It's not something you get from being born. Racism is a taught behavior, because I've seen legitimately where a white person and black person can play together. I've seen it. And if you have Christ in your heart, it's going to give you the boldness to love. I personally can't hate white people. I've dealt with racism directly. I've dealt with racist white people. I've dealt with racism in all races, Chinese, Japanese. When I was stationed over there, they were racist. But I can't hate people because of the color of their skin, because it's not in me. I know about slavery. I study it. But hate solves nothing. Courage, loving people. That don't mean be ignorant. I'm not saying just turn a blind eye. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do anything. I'm not saying that we shouldn't stand up for what's right. Justice is everything. But if you have Christ, you can love anybody, because Christ doesn't discriminate. He doesn't discriminate against race. All men are drawn unto me. That's what the word says. All men can come unto me. Right. And that means any Jew or Greek, Gentile, meaning foreign. It's all people. So salute to the officers that are trying. All right. To those whites that are non-white, Americans, or the Asian, Hispanic, whoever across the world in other countries, salute to you for standing up for us or standing with us. The whites that are doing it, those I know personally and those I've seen, salute to you for standing up. I agree. Cops should do more to stop other cops. Some people, I saw a post where individuals said that they don't want to hear about good cops because if they were good, they will stop other cops. You got to understand the type of environment. I mentioned this before. If you haven't actually been a police officer and worked in that type of environment, it's a very fraternal organization. So sometimes, and I agree. I've tried to stop people. And it takes boldness. Everyone doesn't have the boldness. Some people don't know how to deal with this stuff yet. So I'm not making excuses, but you got to be realistic. It's a fraternal organization, just like the military. It's a fraternal. They're sticking together because of the context of their job. If they felt like if they were divided, you know what I'm saying, they would die out there. I know that for a fact. You got to stick together. And sometimes you see people doing things incorrect and you're scared to say something because you're going to lose that person's trust out in the street. And then if you in an officer need helps call and you out there fighting for your life and you got no more fighting in you. Some people, it's tough out there when you fighting for 15, 20 minutes, high intensity fighting. And no matter how in training, you wearing a belt and and people watching you on camera, you got all these stipulations. It's a tough job. So if you rat out on everything in the police department, everyone, when that officer needs help call come, they're not gonna come for you. They're gonna take their time, and that's gonna make a difference between you living and dying. So I understand the fraternal aspect of, and whether you're a female or male in law enforcement, it's the same thing. It don't matter if you're female or male. You have to, sometimes you probably turn a blind eye. It's gonna take officers having courage to say, what is wrong, what you're doing. Just like in Seattle, the example I just gave you earlier, that officer took his knee off his neck. It's not a pride thing. It's just at this point, that's what they got to do. It has to start internal. And I'm sure now, hopefully with all this is going on, people are really going to check themselves and look themselves in the mirror, check their integrity and check their character and say, if I ever see that, I don't care about the repercussions. I'm going to stand up and say what's right. Even if they have to report it to the next higher level, because this is the type of culture that police they're gonna have to sit down, all the leaders, chief of police, deputy chiefs, captains and sergeants, and all these brass, they're gonna have to sit down and start analyzing what stricter measures need to be put in place in order to hold officers accountable for doing this type of stuff. Things will have to change, and these officers are going to feel it. So trust and believe. You may not think it's nothing happening, but I'm telling you, after all of this blows over, I'm sure that at least, I ain't gonna say every department, but I'm sure they're gonna, especially the Minneapolis Police Department, they're gonna do some changes. They ain't playing around no more. They're gonna do some changes. They're gonna start sitting down, looking at all these policies and administrative procedures, and start making differences. So I understand people don't think good cop, bad cop, but if you ain't lived it, you won't know. It ain't that easy especially if you're new. So you just got to get the culture's changing, and people just going to have to start standing up and making that decision. So that's that. That's my positive spin on it. Can't fight hate with hate. Try to find a way to show love. And as I said before, if you see it happening, step in and try within reason and say something. Yeah, so police officers are people too. And I like to challenge perspectives, because at the end of the day, it's a cold world when you out there by yourself and you trying to actually make a difference in someone, and you got to worry about all types of different things from you don't know what you're going to get when you're out there. So lastly, the steps of how to protect yourself. Some stuff I've came up with. Shout out to Ricky Smiley. I saw some stuff he put out there. He bought something for his son going away to college. He has a video. I think it's on his page, but I just happened to run across of it. And on top of that, there's some stuff that I got from Revelation, and my personal experiences that I'm going to start incorporating in. So if you want to take it, you want to research. If you don't want to take it, it's up to you. But this is my contribution of way we can protect each other out there, especially to the minorities. All right. So number one, if you get pulled over, first thing I would do is call someone. Call someone that you know, whether it's a roommate, friend, if you're living with family, especially for your college students. If you get pulled over, if you had, I saw the video, the HBCU, 2 students were tased and pulled out the car. They were driving, and all these cops just ran up on them and tased the individual in the front seat, the man, and I don't know if his girlfriend, and pulled her out the car. This is the time to make phone calls. If you're in college, my big advice to you college students, youth, make a phone call. If you're getting pulled over by police, and if you're African American or minority, make a phone call. Call someone, a roommate, call a mother. If your mother out of town or you out of state, call them anyway. Make a phone call to somebody real quick. Put on speaker and say, hey, I'm in this area. Give them location, give them time, give them, how many police cars, give them much detailed information that you can. So they'll know what's on the phone, that they'll know that what's going on. So if something ever happens, you can have some record that you was there. Make a phone call. They're local. and they're in the area and they're local, have someone they can come out and assist. And then even with that, don't get caught up in the investigation. If you want to come and see about them, pull over. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you can get if they're getting arrested and it's a legit crime, they're getting arrested. But be there and make sure you get that camera phone out. Make sure you stay out the investigation. Don't intervene with the police, because that's against the law that's against policy to get involved in investigation. But stand by, get that camera phone out, ask questions you need to ask. What's going on, officer? I'm here to make sure he's okay. Whatever you come out and do, and have him explain to you what's going on. If he asks a legit crime, you're going to jail. Maybe you might want to get his belongings. Try to come out. If you can't come out, you want to stay on the phone with him. However you need to do, just have some accountability. Make a phone call. Number 2, get a camera. Ricky Smiley, if you watch this video, it's a certain type of camera where it's front and back. It starts off when the car starts, the camera starts. You can turn the camera. If you get a mount, you can turn it and actually record the interaction with the police officers. You can't trust they having their body cam on. Another case I saw where somebody ended up getting shot and killed, and then under the body cam, I think it was LA, their body cams wasn't on. So you can't trust the fact that their body cam is on. They may not be on. So you have to police them by having your camera on. Have that camera on. It's a certain type of camera that he mentioned. You can go to Best Buy, you can go to your electronics store, Walmart, get a simple camera or something that has a SIM card. Or if you don't want to do camera, get your cell phone, have a mount on, have a cell phone, and back up everything to your Google Drive, your Android, or your Apple. If you Apple, get your, is it called a cloud or whatever? Back that stuff up to it. Back up the video recordings if you can. Back it up. You know what I'm saying? So you'll know, or have it recorded sent to that thing automatically if it's an option for you. So if something ever happens to you, you have that proof. That person you call can go and log in or get records showing what happened. This is the way to protect yourself. Get a camera. College kids, get a camera. High school students, get a camera. Everybody, get a camera, put it in your car, or use your cell phone. Get them out, put it in your cell phone. So if you ever get pulled over, make that phone call, turn that record option on. The cameras have SIM cards in them, so you can keep that SIM card out, or you can find a way to back that data up to something other than the cell phone. In case the police take it and they destroy it, or it's missing, you have a backup. You have something to protect yourself. Third thing, hands on the steering wheel. Another thing Ricky Smiley said that he says a good tip is put your wallet information on top of the overhead. So you got your license and your registration. If you want to start putting that on your overhead visor, or you got your hands are visible, you let the officer know, hey, I got my license registration right there on the top of that visor. I'm reaching for it. You have your hands. Usually what I do is keep my hands on the steering wheel. All I got to do, reach up, grab my license registration and hand it over. My hands visible. I ain't reaching for nothing. I ain't grabbing nothing. I ain't reaching down in the glove department. Nothing. I don't even want to. You keep in the glove department. I don't even want to deal with that. I'm just gonna put it right there at the top so you can see my hands at all times. I'm not gonna even mess around the glove department. That's how it happened to Philando Castile. He ended up reaching and he ended up getting shot. Keep the stuff at the overhead visor, license, registration, any other information that is needed, insurance card or whatever. All you gotta do is reach up, grab it. Here you go. And last importantly, man, just be calm. You got your phone call in, you got your camera going. Be as calm, answer the questions as needed. Ask for badge number, ask for the name of officer. Be professional, try to be calm. I know it's hard. I know it's going to be difficult for a lot of us to be calm, especially if what's going on. Know your rights. You don't have consent to search. If you don't have probable cause, you don't have to consent to search. You have to get a warrant. If you choose to step out the car, just know you're at risk. If you're fearful and you need to step out, and if you really make a judgment call on that, step out if you think you need to. If you're that fearful that he got something, but if you don't have no PC, you don't have no drugs, you're good to go, then you don't need consent to a search. It's Fourth Amendment. If you have a weapon, some places open carry, some places concealed carry. If you have a weapon, carry my weapon on me, open carry. Make sure it's in a safe. Make sure it's not loaded, and let the officer know you have a weapon. Officer, I have a weapon. I have a concealed carry permit, and you have your concealed carry permit. Put it up there in the visor, so all that stuff is available. So hey, officer, I got a concealed carry permit. I have my ID card up in there with my registration, my license. Here it is. You'll know I have a concealed carry permit to carry a weapon, and my gun is located here. So if he needs to get to it, you can get to it. It's in the safe, it's locked up, if it's open, it's concealed carry, or if the gun is on your person. Hey, gun is on my person. Got my concealed carry permit up here, my hands are up, letting you know, got a gun. Communicate, and it's also on camera. So he started flipping out and, oh, you want to pull a gun out and taser? It's on camera that you told him. That's why the camera piece is so important. So please just take some of these things, look into it. I hope this helps. I hope this stuff can give you. I'm trying to come up with ways to make it easier on us. All right. So we get pulled over. This is the steps we got to take. I know people feel like, wow, I got to do all that. This is what steps you got to take. This is the world we're living at. Because if you don't take those steps, the chances are something go down. They're going to walk away with a justified shooting. This is the way to protect ourselves. CYA, this is what we got to do. Cover yourself at all costs. Cover your butt at all costs. Don't sit there and think you got it and then you don't do none of these steps. Or if you got better steps, if something's better than this, please feel free to share, add to it, because I can add it to my repertoire. But these are steps that I came with, I think, that'll really help to keep ourselves accountable and keep them accountable. So when court comes around, don't fight it. If they speeding ticket, you know what I'm saying? If you go to court, go to court. It depends. I heard somebody say went to court and it's a money game. It's a money pit. They're going to get the points off, but they're going to make you pay the fine. Just pay the fine. If it's something serious than that and you know you're wrong and you know they're wrong in the justification, my apologies for saying that, you know they're wrong, then just get it on tape. Get the name, officer, badge number, get it on tape. If you're arrested and you're actually getting a warrant or somebody pulling out the car for a warrant, it was a guy on my page as well. He was a undercover FBI agent. He was Sudanese. He was from Africa. And the guy walked up to him saying he looked like this guy. You look like Jake or look like something. And he just is straight wrong. Get that on tape. That's the stuff I'm talking about. And I said, that's why you got to know your rights. He starts to resist. Depending on what it is. I mean, luckily, I'm glad they ain't threw him to the ground and put his knees on his neck or shot him or something. But that's why I say don't resist. You're going to look stupid because I'm going to go take you to court. And after that, the cycle continues to happen. People will start being more thorough with their investigations. Don't assume I looked at the description of something. Make sure you got your facts straight. Don't assume, because then you look, and then when they pulled his wallet and they saw he was FBI agent, they let him go, and they all, and the supervisor, all of them look stupid. Because they decided to go on a hunch and not probable cause. Nothing's perfect, but get your facts straight before you grab on somebody and say they look like somebody. And this is why you need to know your rights, get it on camera, keep hitting these officers to where, hey, you're wrong. Eventually, if we keep hitting them with this media, we keep hitting them and we keep throwing it and keep throwing it. Eventually, at some point, something got to go. So that's the ultimate end goal. Keep hitting these officers where it hurts, and something's going. They got the racism and the racial profiling and all this stuff eventually will go. So I hope this helps, man. I continue to pray for the George Floyd family. Continue to pray for the country. All right, pray for those who are affected. Show love, man. Love takes courage. In these times where hate is so prevalent, it's harder. It's easy to hate. It's easy to go on slavery. It's easy to go on what's happened. I know it's hard, but if you just make an attempt to show some type of love, it'll go a long way. Please check out the videos. Please share. Please pass this information on to someone else. Hopefully it helps. Continue to stay vigilant. The coronavirus is still active. They're talking about cases and stuff going up because of this. More people getting sick. It's a plan in action. It's a more in-depth plan than what people know. So, yes, we're protesting. Yes, we're out here doing stuff we're doing. But we got to also be aware that this pandemic is still going on. There's no vaccine as of yet. They're close, but there's still no vaccine. Cases are still going up. And all we're doing is just adding more to the fire. Soon something open up with all this going on, they're going to have to go right back into the quarantine status. Be mindful if you're going to protest. Wear your mask, social distancing. I know it's probably ain't even thinking about it, but then it's going to hit you later when the cases keep going up and when you're sick. So don't forget, COVID-19 is still active. Just because these places open up, malls and stores, doesn't mean that the stuff's still active. There's no vaccine. Be safe. All right, and be blessed.